Happy Friday.
Welcome, everyone. I'm going to get us live here on LinkedIn, and then we are going to be rolling.
And right on time for Dan Bigger. Look at that. 32 after the hour, whatever time zone you're in, we're right on time, Damon.
Yep. Good. Video is just going to finish in a second here. Welcome, everyone, once again to the Manufacturing E-Commerce Success Series. We're just happy to be here on Friday. I'm Damon Pasalka, one of your co-hosts. I'm going to turn it over to the other co-host in this, partner in crime, brother from another mother, Curt Anderson. Take it away, my friend.
Damon, love you, brother. So thank you for everything. Guys, Damon Pasalka live coming at us from Seattle, founder of Exit Your Way. So Curt Anderson here. Guys, man, I've been looking forward to this for months. This is a blockbuster. I know every week is a great week. Boy, this is a special one. Our dear friend, and I'm going to say this correctly, Tracy Beulow. How's that? Tracy, welcome to the program. Happy Friday.
Thank you. I love the energy. This is awesome for a Friday. Love it.
Great way to end the week. We just absolutely love being here. So Tracy, we have a ton to unpack. So guys, I want to do a quick little intro on our friend Tracy, and I'm dropping her LinkedIn profile right in the chat box. Guys, as always, every week, let's connect. If we were in person, we'd be handing out business cards. Drop your LinkedIn profile in the chat box. Please connect with Tracy. So guys, Tracy is the Senior Director of Business Development at Zorro. And for all of us in this B2B world, boy, you know Zorro. What an amazing, incredible manufacturing e-commerce success story that Zorro is. Now, Tracy, let's talk about you for a minute. It's all about Tracy today, right? So you have an amazing, incredible background, not only Fortune 500, you have a wealth of Fortune 100 experience, 12-year veteran from Kimberly-Clark. You've managed a $115 million contract center with Manpower. So talk a little bit about, coming out of college and how your path of into marketing and how you kind of shifted into industrial.
Sure. So I would say when I'm talking to anybody about my background, I always say I'm marketing and sales in B2B and B2C. And that kind of summarizes the majority of my career. So started at Manpower in marketing, a lot of sales support activities. So I actually specialized for a long part of that time in contact centers. So reducing turnover, training, and finding the right people who can do call center work all day long. And then transition to account management roles to actually support clients who had big call centers they were standing up around the country. Then made the transition into consumer packaged goods at Kimberly-Clark and really started working in that space in traditional brand management and brand marketing. Worked on probably my favorite brand of all time, Kleenex, for many, many years. So I hope everyone on this call uses Kleenex.
I've got one right here.
Yes. So, but yeah, worked on that, worked on a couple other brands while I was there and did some great things in brand marketing, but also transitioned to the sales organization for Kimberly-Clark too, and ran some grocery teams as well as some specialty teams, which specialty for Kimberly-Clark was like home improvement and office and gas station, convenience stores, things that probably aren't carrying a lot of paper products, but still need some in their assortment. And then I transitioned over to Zorro about 2 years ago. And I've been in this role for that period of time and really just looking for an opportunity to move into e-commerce on a regular basis, but also to work in a smaller organization. Manpower was huge. Kimberly-Clark was huge. I knew it would be a different development opportunity for me to work in a smaller organization, more nimble, growing really rapidly. And so I'm learning a lot, loving it. I think it's great to see the trajectory we're on and what we've been able to do, and really excited about what we have in our future as well.
That is awesome. And so, so our Friday show is very strong Wisconsin bound. We have our friend Aaron, we have Chris Harrington, we have a lot of Kevin, a lot of folks pop into our program. Yeah, a lot of Wisconsin love here. So, so guys, when the program's done, we have a lot of connections for you, Tracy. And of course, our dear friend Gail in Canada, we have Vale, Patrick in Cleveland. So let's talk about the team at Zorro for a second. So I've had the honor and privilege. I know a couple of folks from Zorro been we strongly promote Zorro. Damon and I do a lot of workshops. We were just talking about this before the program. We were at Youngstown State University this week, and I think my dear friend Saida, she was at our workshop this week at Youngstown State University. So welcome, Saida. And she's a power tool company, and we're talking about how important Zorro is. But with Patrick, I know Sherry O'Reilly, the passion and the enthusiasm when you work with the team at Zorro is really unrivaled, in my opinion. Talk a little bit about what attracted you to Zorro and that dedication to their customers or vendors or partners. Just share a little bit about that side of things.
Sure. So certainly from the business side of things, I really appreciate the obsession with our customers. We are really focused on having the right experience for our customer on our site. And our role, Patrick, my team, is to bring on more supplier partners that add to that assortment. So anytime a customer comes to our site, they can find whatever they're looking when they realize they need it. And so we also, in the B2B space, have been focused on creating a consumer-like experience. So if you think about all of us as consumers, what it's like to buy online, we know in business, they're looking for the same things. They expect the same level of functionality and the tools and the convenience of all of that. And so to come to an organization that is obsessed with that experience is great. It also is a culture that is really looking to learn and grow and try new things and fail fast and move forward. Certainly the growth allows us to do that, but we talk about like trying and learning and failing quickly a lot in our organization and being curious. And so we are exploring what our customers are looking for. We're exploring what we need to do internally with our processes, and all with the goal of just driving that opportunity for our customers to get what they need when they need it.
Yeah.
And it just shows with your success. Again, if correct me if I have this incorrect. 2011, Zorro got the party started, and I think it was about 20 employees or so, and just started small, lean, nimble, and now it is just exploded. I know when I met Sherry O'Reilly several years ago, when the way she talks about the Zorro story, it's like she's the owner. Like she just has such pride and respect and admiration, and it just I'm gonna say it's rare, but it was just so refreshing to hear that from the team. And I know Patrick's the same way. You're the same way. Talk a little bit about that 10-year explosive growth at Zorro.
Sure.
How'd you guys do it? Like how, it's such an anomaly, really.
Sure. Well, so if folks aren't familiar, we're actually a subsidiary of Grainger.
Yep.
So the whole idea kind of generated from the fact that we knew there was a market out there for particularly small and medium-sized businesses. They're very fragmented. They don't have the scale to be able to have an interaction with, say, a Grainger or some of the bigger distributors out there. They're just not big enough to get that kind of service, call it. And so they wanted something very simple. They still valued a simple, good price, good fulfillment, all the same things that everybody wants, but they wanted it in a much more simple transaction. And a lot of the folks that we work with are, say, contractors, or they run their own business, and they're the person buying the products, they're the person using the products, they're the person doing the work, paying the bills, doing all of the things. And so they needed something a little bit different than a more traditional distributor relationship would provide. And so for us, it's really about providing that experience to them and giving them those opportunities to still get a good price and a good fulfillment experience, but in a much simpler way.
Well, that's a perfect segue. And I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy John in New Jersey from Obtessa. John, you and Tracy need to connect. He's just a fierce network, does amazing work. We collaborate constantly. John, happy Friday, my friend. So Tracy, let's continue that conversation on, I'm a small manufacturer, whether I'm OEM or contract manufacturer. And I like to kind of diagnose both. Okay. But I have some widgets. Zorro's either new to me or like, what's this relationship with Grainger? What's Zorro? Dig deep into like, what are the benefits of Zorro as a manufacturer?
Sure. So the biggest thing that we can offer is customer reach, and be able to increase your sales. So as I mentioned before, the small and medium-sized market for businesses is very fragmented. Costs a lot of money, takes a lot of energy and attention to reach all of those people. And sometimes they're not even coming to you in traditional ways. They decided this morning, oh no, I need this product. I've got to replace it. I'm going online, I'm searching for it, and I want to buy it right now. And it's allowing us to capture those customers where they're searching and be able to bring it in and give them that opportunity to buy. So if I'm a manufacturer, chances are they may not be coming to my website automatically, or they're coming to my site maybe to gather product information, but maybe not to buy. They still need that opportunity to buy. But even if I have a website, I still have to drive traffic to my website, right? And Zorro does that for all of our partners. All of our large portion of our spend is attracting and acquiring customers, because we're out in those markets and those spaces on the web that customers are looking for products, giving them that opportunity to buy. So if someone were to partner with us, we're giving them access to all these orders that would be extremely challenging and costly for them to get on their own. I mean, you could certainly build a website, but again, you got to drive traffic to that website, and that costs money. That also costs expertise and resources internally to be able to stay up with the dynamics in that marketplace and what it takes then to grab those customers.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah,
go ahead, Dave.
Exactly. I mean, it's what you're speaking to the choir here, because we're helping small OEM manufacturers with these products, trying to get them out to the world. And we tell them all the time, it's like, listen, Amazon might not be right for you, but you still might want to be there. Zorro, if you're a B2B, I think is the place to be, because you can't spend the kind of money as an individual manufacturer on getting in front of that customer at the exact right time like Zorro can, because of the amount of businesses you're trying to do that for, and how you aggregate customers and the traffic you have. There's just no way you can duplicate that unless you partner with someone like Zorro.
100%. And scale matters. Scale matters, especially in e-commerce, because there are only going to be a few key players that people know to go to. And that spend is very, very competitive for people to play in that space.
Yes. Yep.
That's exactly right. And this is another perfect segue. Man, you're like throwing layups. You're making this easy for me, Tracy. So let's dig into that. Let's geek out for a little bit on SEO and talk about search. Again, like, we just did this workshop this week. We work with a lot with the manufacturing extension partnerships, Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois. And so what we're actually showing search examples of how we call it, how do you dominate search? So we go through this process of, like, we call it, how do you make that great first, we call it web impression. How do you make that great first impression with your website? Well, by partnering with Zorro, that has the multi-million-dollar marketing budget, you are making that great first web impression. When we want to get there and attack search, like, you don't need, as Zorro, you don't need to be the widget expert. You allow the manufacturer to be the widget expert and make what they do best. You're the guerrilla marketer. Now, I believe you did a workshop earlier this year. I caught you somewhere, and you had a great quote on how the team at Zorro, like, you partnered with Google, and like, you're studying top SEO tactics. Talk a little bit about how you attack those keywords from an SEO standpoint and from pay-per-click to help your clients, your products, the manufacturers come up in search.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So there are a couple key elements of search, right? You guys have probably already talked about it. There's PLA, or product listing ads, right? There's text ads, there's organic search ads. PLA is the top rung of, if I have an image of a product, if I'm out there searching for it, I'm going to see that image pop up. I'm going to be able to click on it, and I'm going to go to a site and buy. And that, if you can get into that space, that is where I would say the majority of traffic starts to go, because it gives you that opportunity to buy, no matter how general your search has been all along. And so we spend a lot of our time and energy understanding that space. But with that, we understand the profile of a customer. And we know what we look for, where the return is strongest, who tends to buy what. And so we're spending in that PLA space according to what we understand our profile of customers to be and where the value actually is. And we can avoid spending in areas where the return is not that strong. And then what you start to have is this data loop of, we've got a lot of information, we're feeding it back into the system, which is helping us bid more effectively, which is giving us sales and feeding data, and it's kind of creating this circular motion that, again, unfortunately, is very hard for somebody else to come into the market and start to create that exact same loop. And so we're just getting really smart about where we spend, because we know you can spend tons of money and be everywhere all of the time, but probably going to go broke doing it. This is the opportunity to say, where are the types of customers we find the most valuable? What's their profile, and how do we nab them when they're out there and we can tell from their profile they're the right player?
Yeah. And what I love is, like, I don't know if you agree with this, Zorro is almost like a little search engine, not little, a large search engine itself for industrial products. And again, I'm sorry to keep bringing this up with our workshops. Like, I have slides showing, hey, when you do a search within Zorro, we have clients that are coming up top position within Zorro. We show like how when you Google products on Google, you're not only going to see Zorro in the text, either SEO, or like you said, in the Google shopping ads, and and images. So I'm like, Zorro's coming up multiple times for these products, promoting these customers, their products. Talk a little bit about, say again, we target manufacturers. You have some folks that are distributors. Is there a difference? Like, are you targeting more manufacturers, more distributors? You can share a little bit about that aspect.
Sure. So we actually work with both, is the first answer. But here's what I would tell you. Our model is third-party fulfillment, right? So all of our partners fulfill orders on our behalf, which means anybody we work with has to have solid dropship capability. In some cases, manufacturers, that's not their focus. They don't want to be drop shipping small orders. They want to be able to ship pallets of product to a distributor partner. And so we've found success with distributors on more occasions because of that drop ship capability. But that doesn't mean that we don't also partner with manufacturers who have that drop ship capability. Where it's also been really unique is we've done both on a single brand. So if you take a big supplier, I always use 3M as an example, right? They're a huge brand everybody knows. Well, 3M may want to drop ship several products on their own where they can be efficient, but they have a huge portfolio that they don't want to drop ship. And so then they have all of these distributor partners that help them get those products out into the marketplace. Well, we may work with 3M and one of their distributor partners so we can get the broadest portfolio on Zorro. And we've got the combined attention and support of both parties to provide content and good brand information and to help support the brand that's out there so that we have the best information online and we get it basically from both parties. So we're open to either. It really just comes down to who can fulfill the model we've created in the best possible way. And it is a core competency of theirs, versus someone trying to do that and trying to do all the things that they'd rather be spending their time on.
And you make a great point. A lot of people, you're really good at making that product, but when you do that foray into, okay, I'm going to start trying to market, drive traffic to our website and a lot of other stuff, there's just, and incorporate things like, now I want to be drop shipping. I want to be doing there's just a lot to learn when you're moving into a platform for the first time. And if you can focus on just doing that and getting good with someone like Zorro, and we've done this with clients over time, both bigger clients, that Zorro is another channel. That's great because there's really not competition between the two. Honestly, they're little teeny baby bit, but then you can go the other way too. You can start out and get really good with everything inside and fulfilling and doing the things you can inside your company. And then maybe it's time to start a little bit, trying out some other things to make a more broader portfolio of customers. But the Zorro is such a key component for this B2B market. And you guys focus in on that customer. When you look at any other platform, there's really not a platform that focuses in like you guys do, which is so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, I mean, it's just the way it is, right? It's the way it is. Because if I am in the industrial space and I'm going to go look for something online, I don't go to Amazon. Amazon's got more consumer products, right? Yeah, there may be some stuff, but this is not where it originated from, where it came from. And then you talk about what Grainger had to offer already, and then add the other partners you're bringing in. You just that is the place to go.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think Tracy made some great points. So again, so say a couple of things for folks that are on Amazon and they're in the B2B space or industrial, and they're like, gee, should I consider Zorro? One of the common complaints that you hear with Amazon is you don't have access to customer information. With the dropship model, Zorro allows you, don't own that customer relationship, but you know who the customer is. It's transparent, so on and so forth. The other nice thing is Zorro almost plays like a little fractional marketing firm. And again, I don't use the word little, but so common question. I was just asked this week, hey, should I do an e-commerce store? I'm starting from scratch, or do you recommend the marketplaces? Well, depending on budget, and again, everybody on here knows how pro e-commerce I am. But if you're just starting out and you're like, man, I'm just not sure, I want to kick the tires. I know Dan Bigger, Dan Bigger landed this new great job. He's like showing pictures from the beach all the time. Dan, we're jealous. But they just plunge into e-commerce. You could tip your toe, very low risk, hand the product over to Zorro. Now you have a presence online, and you're just trying to get your feet wet in this e-commerce world. Trace, and I know the great thing is you've said it multiple times. You're obsessed with the customer. Yeah. I know from my experience personally, you make it so easy to help those vendors, those supplier partners get their product online, how to optimize. Talk a little bit about what are those beginning stages, like the onboarding process for your vendor partners.
Sure. So obviously we have ways that we operate, so we have to kind of work through those core elements, but we do partner or request that most of our partners are integrated via EDI or some form of EDI transmission, right? You hope that you have so many orders that you don't want this manual process to stay on top of those orders. You want them to electronically flow. But the biggest piece, I would say, honestly, starts to come down to content. The more information you have about the products you're listing online, the easier it is for the customers to navigate to the exact right product they're looking for. Now, we have folks that come to our site and they know the exact brand and part number. Super easy for them to come online, but there's a whole lot of them who are trying to explore. They kind of know what they're looking for, but not quite exactly, and they want to be able to navigate. The more attribute and product information, the better off you are. And so a lot of what we focus on with our supplier partners is that content element. We need some baseline information just to transact. You need all that core regulatory, UPC, quantity, unit of measure, all of those things. But then as you start getting into more critical attribute information, it makes it easier to share those products in marketing materials. It makes it easier to navigate on the site. All of those things are great. On top of all of that, fulfillment is key, right? So ultimately, especially in today's market, you guys have probably seen it, getting a product on time and fairly fast is really important, especially in B2B. And so we often talk to our partners about what that looks like. We're finding in our data under 3 days is great. So if you can get it out and to them in about 3 days, that's your sweet spot. Anything over that, unless it's product or category specific where it's common that it's a long lead time, you're going to start to have trouble kind of converting that order. And so when we talk to our partners, we tend to talk about those elements because we know those are the ones that make a difference. The wild card in all of it, people like to bring up is price, right? Cost and price transparency online. We're not a low cost leader. We're not out there to be, undercutting the market, but we're trying to just be as competitive. Just be in the competitive set. So when someone clicks on that item, it looks about right. And that it's comparing apples to apples, because now if you look on sites, shipping included, shipping not included, you're starting to kind of compare apples to oranges, which makes it a little messy. So fundamentally, I would say those are those things. And then just understanding structurally or strategically, how does this fit within the company's objectives? How does it complement what you're trying to do and not just cannibalize what you're already doing?
Yeah.
Perfect. And go ahead, Damon.
Really quick. I mean, delivery time is so critical in products now. I mean, and you said under 3, but if you can guarantee, within real reasonable time frame, 2 days, that will raise your sales I've seen it 25% kind of thing. If you can just say we have 2-day delivery, and it's worth it for an OEM to consider, how can I do 2-day delivery? And does it, if it costs me a little bit more, adjust your pricing or your shipping, whatever you got to do to be able to do that, because people will pay to get product within reason. I just, that time is so key, and it's the whole make to ship, that's just out the door. That kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore on e-commerce.
Right.
We have a great question for you, Tracy, from our dear friend, your neighbor, Aaron in Wisconsin. Do you track compliance to make sure vendors are fulfilling on time and providing quality content?
Yes. So a couple of things we do. We have a lead time on our site, and we have actual ship times, and we do regular comparison of the two. And the goal typically is, say you put 5 days out there. We're good with people putting 5 days if you could deliver 5 days, because it's more important that we're accurate on our promise than anything. But then we look for the opportunities to say, you told us 5, but you're actually shipping in 3. How about we change it to 3 and increase the likelihood of getting the sale? So we definitely do that. Obviously, in the opposite direction, if we're seeing us fall short on those lead times, we need to have conversations with our suppliers about that. Similarly, if we're not seeing sales where we think we could see it, we will be working with those suppliers on content. If you don't have images, you're not in PLA. That's like number one, right? So if we don't have that, that's our first thing to work with our suppliers on, so that they get that kind of exposure. And then from there, like I said, those attributes that are unique to that category of that product are really important for navigation. They're important for marketing. They're important for keywords, right? All of those things matter. And so we just work with our partners on continuing to build that out.
That's fantastic. And I know, one of Zorro's benchmarks, trademarks, whatever you want to call it, is, vast inventory. If you need it, you have it, right? So let's say like the manufacturer, maybe more along the lines of the distributor, that have thousands and tens of thousands of SKUs. Come to mind, my dear friend Chris Harrington, also a fellow Wisconsinite. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
So another neighbor of yours. So they're with Gen Alpha, and they comment. They'll have manufacturers or companies that have thousands and thousands of SKUs. Let's talk about that partner relationship on how it's not like I want to have my e-commerce store separate from marketplace. Let's talk about marrying those strategies together on how I want to have my e-commerce footprint, do some of my own SEO. I'm doing pay-per-click, social, whatever, but I want my own e-commerce presence. And then we're not cannibalizing ourselves by being in a marketplace. Talk about the benefit and the value of combining those two strategies.
Sure. So there's two things that come to mind for me. The one is our partners own the brands and the products, right? They're the ones who have worked really hard to develop high quality products, and they typically invest in supporting those brands. And so we ask them, continue to do that, because the more you bring visibility to those brands and products, the more people start searching for them. The more, if we have them on our site, we grab them when they're searching, right? And so we look for our partners, certainly from kind of brand promotion, to make sure that they continue to do that. The other side of it is typically our partners have a retention strategy with their customers, and their investment in e-commerce tends to be to support their biggest customers. They may provide inventory visibility. They may provide additional content and marketing. They may be able to do some order tracking and various things. And that's perfect for them to spend their attention on, because my guess is that's 80% of your sales if you run the 80-20 rule. And so the way to look at it is keep doing those things for those core customers and make sure you're adding that value for those relationships. And then you can leverage a partner like Zorro to get that other marketplace to make up the other 20% of your sales, but you're not having to do all the hard work and the investment to get those sales. And so they can be very complementary and really support each other in terms of kind of driving attention online.
Yeah,
absolutely. And the nice thing is to partner with Zorro. What's the cost? I think, is it zero? I mean,
it's minimal. It's driven on the sales, right? We're a distributor. That's how we view ourselves. So it's very similar to any distributor. You give us the cost, we're going to put a price out there, and the margin is in between. It's a markup of, whatever we think. But remember what I said about being market competitive is what's important.
Right.
We're going to work with our partners if we feel like that structure doesn't allow for us to be competitive, because if we're not generating sales, which isn't good for either of us.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you're saying, that Zorro being the source for your 20% is a really nice way to explain it, because if you try to support that 20% through your traditional business channels, it takes so much resources for that 20%.
Right.
Where, as you said, the complementary part of it is really cool, because the masses of customers through Zorro makes it much easier than trying to do that internally.
Right. And what that does then is build scale and buying power and all of those things within that supplier partner, right? So now I have 20% more sales that allows me to go negotiate with my vendors as well, without having all that extra attention and cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we like to preach is, what Zorro does is it brings a little street cred, so again, for a small custom manufacturer, say 20, 30 employees, again, they're the best kept secret. We're trying to help them stop being the best kept secret.
Yep.
But, if somebody does a search and say there's Zorro and then ABC manufacturer, and they're like, you know what? It's like, it's like if you're traveling, geez, do I go to the recognized franchise, or do I try the local, restaurant? A lot of times you find those hidden gems going to the local, but boy, we've been traveling. I'm tired. Kids are yelling and screaming. Let's just go to whatever franchise we all know, right? So, it's the same type of concept of that street cred, where when somebody does a search for a particular power tool or whatever that item is, and they're like, well, I see ABC, manufacturer, but I see Zorro. And I'm comfortable with Zorro as a, I shop as a consumer. I'm shopping as in my workplace as a B2B buyer. So again, you're helping from the search standpoint. You're helping from a pricing standpoint, content standpoint, all of the above. Do you offer what type of guidance? Like Chris asked, or was it Aaron asked? Aaron asked a great question about the content. Do you provide any next steps, or like for folks that are brand new to this content world or the SEO world? Do you guys kind of help hold their hand on like what this whole keyword thing, or is like, how does that work?
So we don't get into the specifics with our supplier partner around kind of the SEO space. What we do is work with them on, here is our list of attributes and information that we would love to have from you. And the more of that information we have, the more we can do with it on the marketing side. And so, you focus on the typical things that people would expect, the UPC and good titles and images and those things. The attributes is where it gets really, really interesting. The more information you have, the more that you can tie families of products together, the better. So that's actually a really unique thing when you're doing a website. It's actually really hard to build product families. So think about if you are buying a shirt, you want to see a page for that shirt and you just want to be able to choose your size. Well, that's hard to build that, really, right? Most sites, it's like, well, I go to the page for the small, and then I go to the page for the medium, and then I go to the page for the large. It's hard to do that. And so what we're trying to do is just gather as much of that information and then merchandise it in the way that makes sense. What also makes us really unique is that when you have an endless aisle model, different categories should be merchandised in different ways. And a lot of sites that are out there, it's kind of one way of doing it all. And we've been working and still have ways to go and continue to grow and improve in this area. But we're looking at ways to merchandise certain products a certain way, because we know that's how people buy. But it may not look the same as this item over here that needs to be merchandised differently as well. And so that complexity can get really interesting if you're trying to look at your product offering.
It is a key difference, though, with your platform. It is a key difference if people don't understand this, as most platforms are one size fits all. Every listing's going to look the same, and you're just going to have, marry your product to that listing rather than your product to an appropriate listing for your category.
Right.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying, Tracy. And again, it's almost like your fractional marketing department, like you're doing research, you're digging deep into the SEO, you're digging deep into, the whole product listings, what color button to have, checkout. You're handling the credit card processing. Again, there's just so much that you're handling for. You're just making it so easy. They, at our workshops, we talk about KISS, man. Keep it super, super simple. And again, that's and I'm speaking as a customer myself to Zorro. I feel Zorro does an incredible job of keeping it simple. And again, let's face it, in the B2B space, a lot of us are digital immigrants. We're a little on, more seasoned, I say. I won't call us older. We're on the more seasoned side, and you make it much easier for the folks in that space to create that online presence. Now, I saw, man, we're coming in. It's like, man, we could talk all day, right?
Exciting stuff.
This is juicy, man. Guys, this is so good. So Tracy, I saw a quote from you, and I know this is common to a lot of folks, but you, again, I saw a quote from you earlier. You're talking about like how e-commerce just really sped up about 10 years and 90 days through COVID. And I know we all agree with that. Now that hopefully, we were talking before, Tracy, man, our prayers go with you. She's going to become an empty nester here soon. So next week, her kids are heading off to college. We wish her kids great success. But as we're hopefully coming safely out of COVID, I know we're not sure, but let's say we're coming safely out of COVID. What are you seeing now? Any trends, or what are you telling clients, customers, manufacturers? What are you seeing moving forward to end of last quarter of 2021 and into 2022?
Yeah, so interesting question. That quote that you've heard is a McKinsey chart that's been floating around for a long time about the adoption of e-commerce and how it has really sped up in the B2B space. And so what I would probably say just in general is people are much more comfortable buying products online. You were doing it as a consumer. You were doing it with probably products you would have never bought online prior to COVID. And now all of a sudden you're comfortable. Think groceries and all those things. Yep. The same thing has happened in B2B. What people have found is that really technical product that I thought there was no way I could just go buy online. I had to do it, and it was fine. So now I'm comfortable going back and doing it again, right? And so you just see this broader willingness to consider items that you wouldn't have before. You've taken a look at your operations and how you run and figure this e-commerce model into it. I still think every forum for buying will still exist. But they will have very specific purposes associated. The example I always give is like building products. You're not going to lose the building product branches. Maybe you won't have as many around the US at some point, but there are still going to be people who need the same day item, and they're going to go and get it. And that's going to exist. And there's going to be product lines that are very variable, like lumber, that just e-commerce would be really hard to do. But then you're going to start to think, well, these things I can pre-plan for and get it in a few days. I'll just place that order when I remember on the spot, and I'll get that shipped to me. And so you'll see this where people are buying in all different channels. And you just want to capture as much of that as possible, right? So I think you're just going to continue to see that. You're going to see this willingness to buy certain products online that you never thought before. And to be honest, what we're grateful at with Zorro is endless assortment matters. We know we can satisfy more of those customer needs in one place. And so we're going to continue to build that out. And that's what customers want as well, is an easy way to buy more of their items than have to go to this site and this site and this site and this spot.
Gosh. And especially in the B2B space, because if you make it easy for me to go in, I'm buying all this stuff this month, say, or this week, I can come back and place another order for it next month. And then it's super easy. The second time is even easier.
Correct.
So,
well, and in some cases, it's a purchasing manager who doesn't actually know the product. They just got a note from somebody that said, go get this because I need it. And they have to go search it out. And we just made their job that much easier. What they care about is fast and good price. And so they look good internally. And so they're all going to be looking for these ways to do this more often.
Well, and then from the company standpoint there too, they can consolidate purchases. There's one place you're buying from, and make it easier to keep that. It just so much sense in it. Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what we preach. Make it as easy as humanly possible to do business with you. And again, think about like those government employees, GSA accounts, where maybe, they're set up with Zorro. and like for you have to go through hoops to, as a small little manufacturer, maybe there's a lot of barriers where Zorro can just partner with you and make life so much easier for you. Again, Tracy, I don't want to keep you because I want to get everybody back to the tables. Our dear friend, Erin, she asked a great question. I'm sorry if I missed this. Do you vet your partners?
So yes, we do, on a lot of those things that I was talking about though. So can you fulfill on a consistent basis? What are the products that you offer? Is it complementary to what we already have, or is it duplicative to what we already have? Does it fit the B2B small business customer, right? We definitely want to look at those things, because if we're all going to put in the effort, we want to make sure the products are going to sell. But it really is more about that performance, and can you consistently do what we need to have a good fulfillment experience for the customer?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Man, this is good, Trace. This is this is awesome. So guys, let's what we're gonna do is we're gonna wind down, we're gonna wrap up. Trace, let me drop your LinkedIn profile in there again. Guys, please connect with Tracy on LinkedIn. Check out Zorro. My dear friend Patrick Lavelle's on the program. He's on the team at Zorro. So man, I have so many more things that we could go on and talk about, but I know we need to wrap up. Tracy, I want to give a huge thank you to you. I know you're super busy. We have a hard stop at the bottom of the hour, so I want to get back to the tables. I'd love for you guys to stick around and chat with Tracy. Tracy, thank you. We wish you the best of luck to your boys. Great success. I know you're a wonderful mom. Best of luck to your two boys at college. And Damon, my brother, have an awesome weekend. Let's guys, go out there and crush it this week, man. Just go out and crush it next week. We have Gail coming on the program next week. Super exciting things going on here. Connect with Zorro. Check out the product on Zorro. Damon, take it away, dude. I'm out of breath.
All right. Thanks, Curt. Thanks, Tracy. This awesome discussion. If you can't tell, this gets Curt and I fired up every week that we can talk about manufacturing and e-commerce in the same sentence, and it's always good. And learning how Zorro helps its partners accelerate their e-commerce sales it was a great topic today. So thank you. Thanks everyone that listened on LinkedIn Live. We're going to shut down there and go back to the tables on Remo.
Tracy, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks
so much.